Hey y'all, how you doing today? EXAMINA banner is up, so you're able to draw an SSR EXAMINA card. Just for doing a ×10 draw, you could get her card. If you get her SSR under the banner, you actually get her as a character, if you don't already have her yet, and you get her legendary exclusive equipment, which is the hardest thing to get on a character to get them to their in-game build. I like this little splash art as well, by the way. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to jump into EXAMINA's contract and break down her skills one at a time, where I can suggest to you a proper build for her as well and explain to you some of her abilities, because not everything is as it seems in the tooltip. So without wasting any more time, let's just jump into the contract. Okay, we have EXAMINA here. She is a Hars mercenary and she is a ranger. Let's start with the first skill, Load Revolver. Gains 1 insight and inflicts damage to the enemy by 100% of the attack. And it explains to us what insight does. Insight inflicts pen damage with a 100% chance upon reaching 3 insights. So as this attack gains her an insight, whenever she gets 3 of those stacks, her next attack or ability will do 100% chance to penetrate. And that's a very nice added little bonus to make sure that you don't really have to build pen rate as one of her main stats. Whenever you promote this under an SSR skill card, it will stun the enemy for 1 turn with a 50% chance, so that's not that great of a chance. So if you are worried about the stun, especially a first skill stun is pretty good, you might want to put some accuracy on her to make sure that that goes through. Also keeping in mind that this is a ranged attack, so she does have a little bit of a range to try and get off a stun if you're using her in PvP. Second ability, now this is going to be her main selling point, Ghost of Grim Reaper. Gains 1 insight and moves behind the enemy to inflict damage by 75% of the attack. Additionally, she gains the hide effect and creates a ghost that has a 3-time damage ignore effect in the original spot. So it explains to us what insight is. It doesn't explain to us what hide does. Or maybe if we hover over it. Oh, it does. Okay, so under the hide effect, you can never be targeted by enemies. And while your ghost is out on the field, because whenever she uses this ability and she puts out the ghost, while that ghost is on the field, the hide status will be removed immediately as you attack an enemy. Now here's the thing about that, whenever you like skill her up and promote her skills and stuff, she pretty much just stays in hide the entire time, so you won't have to worry about her breaking out of hide whenever she uses an attack. So in short, quick visual representation of this ability, she targets an enemy, does some damage to them, moves behind them, and then creates a ghost that is like where she was standing originally that has a 3 times damage ignore. You have to, target the ghost, and you can't target her under hide. You have to forgive me again if I'm having a little bit of trouble getting out what I need to say. I'm still recovering from a virus, but I think I'm getting on the brunt end of it now, so please forgive me if I, stutter or have a little bit of trouble getting out the words. Third skill is Hide Shot. Gains 1 insight and inflicts damage to the enemy by 175% of the attack. Now, right off the bat, especially at base, that's a pretty good multiplier. And we already know what insight does, but the thing about this ability is it does not remove your hiding effect. So how the previous ability said that attacking once you're in hide will remove hide, if you use this ability, it does not remove hide. Whenever you promote this card under an SSR skill card, it will inflict bonus damage by 15% of the enemy's current HP, and the bonus damage can't exceed EXAMINA's attack. So if the enemy has, an insane amount of defense, for example, like the Season 2 2-8 boss has just like that defensive stance where he only takes like 13 damage. Even if, the enemy has something like that, she will still be doing 15% of the enemy's total HP or current HP by using this ability. And last but not least, the Rage skill, Trade with Grim Reaper. She switches the location with the ghost and recovers her own HP by 40% of the total HP. Additionally, she increases the attack bar by 300 and increases the movement range for 2 turns. But this cannot be used if you do not have the ghost out. Under a promoted Rage card, this will increase her attack speed by up to 3 turns if you use it while she's hiding. So basically, you get a 30% increase on your attack bar, so you have a third of your way to getting your next attack off already anyways. Increases her movement range, so you can, travel a little bit farther as well if someone's out of the range of one of your abilities, and increases her own attack speed. So and it heals her. This is just like, this is the SOS skill. This is the, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, let me use this and completely reset the battlefield skill. Sort of like a rogue in World of Warcraft, where if you're in a bit of a pinch or in a bit of a pickle, go ahead and use this ability and you can, buy yourself some time to get yourself in a point where you need to be to recover your HP or to get off that kill that you needed to get off. So the other thing about this is she's not technically attacking an enemy, so this will not remove her hide. So we'll go ahead and look at the exclusive equipment before we look at her skill card, because we already know this ability puts out hide, so you don't have to worry about breaking out of hide if you're, gaining the status. This one does not remove hide from you, and this one does not remove hide from you. So if you get the exclusive equipment, what this does is the hide state won't be removed even if you attack with load revolver, which is her first skill. So if you are able to get off your second skill and hide, then you're essentially hiding the entire time until either your ghost is destroyed or you get caught in an area of effect that the enemy targeted somebody else with. Because they can't target you per se, but you can still be caught in the range of other people's abilities that have a wide range attack of area of effect. So pulling her in this banner and getting that exclusive equipment is going to be a big increase to her abilities and her sustainability on the battlefield, because that is a very nice added effect to the first skill. Now we can look at her card. It increases the movement range by 1.5 when you're under the hide effect. So if she already has increased movement range from the SSR card and you use her rage skill to increase her movement range even more, the cool thing is we'll be able to test this in the preview, but she will be moving way far if she so chooses. A cool thing about her collection effect is it's max energy up. You can always do with more energy, that's just more, things you get to do in the game. So that's a very nice collection effect. Even if you don't plan on using her, that's a very good, increase of your energy. Taking a look at her abilities, we see attack speed, crit damage, and effect accuracy. So no cap required stats. Cap required stats meaning like crit rate and pin rate, stats that you need to, get off your maximum potential damage. But if you have insight, then you'll be penetrating anyways, so you don't need penetration. And crit rate, that's pretty much just what you should be focusing on to make sure that you can take advantage of her crit damage ability. Effect accuracy is also going to help with your stun on your first skill. Now, if you're not too worried about the stun, then you can pretty much ignore it, but it's just the only ability that she has that requires accuracy is the stun. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the reviews and see if we could debunk some bad ones and then upvote some good ones. So this one says go attack and crit armor. I'm not sure what he means, but I think maybe he meant to say crit damage. So attack and crit damage. She's insane with damage against single mobs and best for arena and farming trivia, like if you agree. So she's a top used unit, I believe, in Isard. I'm not so sure if she's a top used unit in trivia. Let me check real quick. So no, we do not see EXAMINA in the trivia level 11, top used mercenaries. So if you're talking about, trivia, then no. But if you're talking about trace specimen in general, she'll be good for Isard, because I believe on Isard, she's one of the top used on stage 11. Scrolling down a little bit, she's number 6, used in 31% of successful teams on Isard 11. As well as I do see her a lot in the arena. She has been used in some of the top 3 teams at the end of the arena season, so she actually will be good for the arena, and that is absolutely true. I think the problem that a lot of people have with saying trivia is they mean trace specimen. So she can be good at Isard, but trivia is an entirely different trace specimen, and she may not be the best pick for trivia. Now this next one is very, true. Great single target damage and can avoid single target attacks by hiding. A great addition to any team. So yes, she cannot be targeted by single target attacks, and I love that that was pointed out here. So we'll go ahead and give that guy an upvote. All right, now let's look at the number 3 most top rated rating. 100% pin damage. Okay, so that's 100% pin rate. 50% self heal. Can loop stealth with Ayla. So Ayla, what Ayla does is reduces your cooldowns. I'm pretty sure that as long as you have her exclusive equipment, you don't really need to be spamming, the second skill that much. You can just stay under the hide effect as long as you have the exclusive equipment. Great unit with satisfying and rewarding combat. Stupid AI though, position carefully. Now that is huge. That's definitely a big complaint I see a lot of the time. It's definitely something I use to take care of examinas that I might be having trouble with in the arena. If she chooses to put out her ghost, that doesn't necessarily mean that her actual position isn't next to an ally. That can get caught in an area of effect and you can still actually kill her even whenever she's under the hide effect. And just like all of the units that, put out clones and are really reliant on one certain ability, she's not 100% guaranteed to use Ghosts of the Grim Reaper if she needs to be using it at the time. So it's possible that she could end up just not using it if you leave it up to the AI, and then pretty much her entire kit will be wasted. But again, AI is something you need to cut ComTwist maybe a little bit of slack on, because there's very little mobile games out like this that have a good AI. I think it would take a lot of work for them to do that. But if you do have that suggestion, put it in their Discord, because I think they're taking suggestions on the Heroes War official Discord. If you don't know how to get there, you can go click these top 4 buttons up here, click notice, click event, scroll down, and you can find the Discord link right there to submit that suggestion. Okay, now that we've gone over all that, we can go ahead and jump into the preview. What we like to do here is we like to look at how they perform at base versus how they will perform whenever they're fully built. So let's start with first skill. Range is absolutely phenomenal at base. We see she shoots and gains the insight on this third stack of insight. She penetrates, and it's a 100% chance to penetrate. No pen rate needed in your build. Second skill, like we talked about, so her original position is replaced by the ghost, and now EXAMINA is under the hide effect. If you can see the little icon above her head, now she cannot be targeted by single target abilities, and but without her exclusive equipment, using our first skill is going to remove our hide effect. Now we'll go ahead and reset and put out the hide effect again so that we can showcase third skill. Now third skill gains an insight and inflicts damage to the enemy by a pretty good percentage, inflicts 100% damage whenever reaching 3 insights. So if you use, second skill, first skill, third skill, then you will be getting the penetration every single time if that's the order of attacks that you're doing. Whenever you use this attack, the range isn't great, but it does not remove you from hide. So I'm still in hide after I've used that. Same with her rage skill. If I use her rage skill now, this is pretty much just my oh crap button. I used it to switch places with my clone, get a speed buff, recover some HP. What else did it do? Increase my attack bar by 300 and increase my movement range. So look at how much movement range I have now. So if somebody was definitely way far out of the way, you have a lot more range to chase them down and then hit them with that extremely long range first skill. But as always, if you're planning to build a unit, you probably want to build them all the way and strive to see how they perform at maximum efficiency. So we'll pump her skill card all the way up to +9, rage card up to +3, give her her SSR card, and give her her exclusive equipment, and see how she performs now. So first skill is not too much different. We can stun them now if they're under hide, but we're not under hide currently showcasing it right now. So let's go ahead and just use second skill to put ourselves under hide. Now that this is promoted, it will increase our crit rate whenever we use it too. So she's self-buffed crit rate, and now she's hiding. With her exclusive equipment, using my first skill is no longer going to remove the hide effect from me, and it has a chance to stun the enemy as well. So that's very, very nice. And the third skill still has the same amount of range, but with our increased move speed or move range under the SSR card, it'll be a lot easier to chase them down if we see how much range we actually have to move here. That's pretty nice. So you can chase them down, use this, and it will do increased damage based on their current HP when it's promoted. Now with the rage skill 2, of course, using this will increase our attack speed, crit rate, movement range, all of that. Look at the absolute amount of range we have right now. There's pretty much nowhere that an enemy could be that we wouldn't be able to chase them down. So that's very useful as well. Look at all the self buffs we have as well. We have crit rate, we have insight to the point where our next ability will be 100% chance to penetrate. So we need less crit rate in our build. We only need 60% crit rate to ensure we crit 100% of the time with this. We need 0% penetration rate. We're going to penetrate. We can't be targeted with single target abilities. Our attack speed is increased. Our movement range is increased. She's really just a self-sufficient ranger, able to deal a lot of damage. So that's going to do it for showcasing her abilities. Let's go ahead and talk about equipments and rage cards. So a solid threshold of crit rate requirement for, rangers and dealers is usually tends to be 85% plus in games like this. Since she buffs her own crit rate, it would be safe to pop a crit rate ring in her ring slot, so that way you can achieve 87% crit rate and not have to focus on crit rate in substats at all. So now with the crit rate ring in our ring slot, we can absolutely just 100% focus on attack speed, attack percent, and crit damage percent for our substats, which is going to net us the highest amount of damage possible. For boots, I think an obvious choice would be attack percent, because we don't really need effect accuracy unless we're worried about the stun. If you're trying to bring a stun with you, or if you are worried about the stun, there are definitely other units that are more efficient at stunning. So I do think attack percent will be the ideal shoe placement for our EXAMINA. And last for our gloves will be a toss-up of attack speed and attack percent. You can never go wrong with attack speed. Taking more turns is very efficient for no matter what your end goal is, as well as, she is able to increase her own attack speed through a buff, so you can potentially achieve a very high attack speed while using attack speed gloves. But on the other side of that same coin, you can use attack percent gloves since she does give herself an attack speed buff. You may not have to worry about attack speed that much, and you can just put attack percent on your gloves to try and get the absolute most amount of damage possible. Now for set bonuses, we have the obvious choice of using Dash to get an increased amount of attack speed, just as I stated before for its uses, to get the most amount of turns possible out of her. We could use Violent. Now Violent is going to be more of a beginner set for her because as we see the attack percent up for Violent is only 35%, while the crit damage up percent is going to be 40%. So if you were going for an in-game build, building her with a strike set might be more efficient, especially because right here we can see that the highest an attack percent sub can be for us is 7%, while the highest a crit damage percent sub can be for us is 6%. So it will be much more efficient to use a crit damage set while focusing on attack percent subs, especially because she has a crit damage ability. That way you can mostly focus on attack percent and attack speed as your main substat focus, with a little bit of crit damage here and there. And of course, looting is viable on all dealers because if you do not have a heal targeting you, or if she's unable to be healed at the time, you can pretty much rely on her healing herself with a looting set. And the last recommendation I might have, if you feel like the crit rate ring and the crit rate buff isn't quite enough for you and you wanted nearing 100% instead of 87, you could run with a crit rate set as well to put your crit rate up to 99% without having to worry about crit rate substats at all. And the last thing we like to do here is I will provide with you a recommendation of my top 3 rage cards that I would pick for my own Examina. So one card I would like to suggest for Examina would be the Auto Speed Up device. It additionally fills up the attack bar by 200 when you defeat an enemy. So since she will be increasing her attack bar with her rage skill, and you can also give her an attack speed buff, being able to put this card on her will ensure that she's taking many turns within a short amount of time. So you can ensure that you have hide up most of the time, especially even if you don't have your exclusive equipment. This would help you achieve that goal. Now on the opposite end of that spectrum, I might recommend the Emergency Speed Up suit, to where if you were, doing a lot of damage, getting a lot of kills in your match, then it would be more beneficial for you to increase attack bar that way. This is sort of on the other end, where it recovers your attack bar by 100 when you're inflicted with damage that's 15% or above the total HP at once. So the only time you'll be even inflicted with damage as Examina is if you're not in your hide or if you're caught in an area of effect within your hide. So if that happens, it would help you to increase your attack bar by 100 and push you a little bit farther to either getting your next hide cast off, getting your rage, ability up, or just being able to move out of the way in general if you're looking like you're in a rough spot. And the absolute #1 rage card that I would recommend for Examina is going to be the Urgent Shield. It gains the protection effect for 3 turns by 20% of the total HP with a limit of 1 times when you're inflicted with damage that takes you to death. So what this means in layman terms is if somebody attacks you with an attack that's going to kill you, you instead live with 1 HP and 20% of your total HP as a shield, so that you can pretty much mitigate the death altogether. You just negate dying, and then you have, that chance to completely turn the battlefield around. We've already seen how useful her rage skill can be at turning that around as well. So if you're killed, and then you, of course, survive with 20% of your HP, you then have that chance to cast your hide, get off your looting if you have looting to recover some HP, get off a heal to get her back to full, use her rage skill to, put herself in a very good situation again, and it's a very useful card, especially for Examina's kit. I think it will be extremely complimentary. So that's pretty much all I got for Examina today, guys. If you're interested in that, go ahead and start working on this banner, because that exclusive equipment is very, useful for her kit. And if you have any other questions, feel free to join the Discord. We have new players and veteran players in there alike that like to help each other out. So if you have a question, pop it in there and one of us will be sure to answer it as fast as we can. But other than that, y'all, that's going to do it for me today, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.